To help illustrate function curves in the function curve editor, I'm going to take our arm object and create a simple movement animation track for it. Say frames 20 and 50, set it to different positions. A function curve is a visual representation of how true space shall change the values of rotations, movements, scales, etc. to create the in-between frames. We'll expand our arm object in the object tree. We'll see the rotation track and our new movement track. And note that you can manipulate the keyframes in the movement track just as before in the rotation tracks. We'll move this keyframe to 18, frame 18, and hit the function curve button. We'll notice the tracks in the track pane are now replaced by the function curve editor, and that for each track of animation there is an X, Y, and Z axis representation in the function curve editor. The green line represents the actual function curve, or how the values change over time or through the frames. The boxes represent the keyframes we have set. The zoom buttons work here also. But what is this function curve actually telling us? Let's look between the first two keyframes. We notice a very steep slope, or very steep rate of change, whereas between the last two keyframes there's a very gradual change. In the editor, we can left-click and drag up and down to change this value, which we notice also changes the slope and the amount of change between the keyframes. You can also hold down the Control key and left-click and drag left and right to change the position of the keyframe. The value, or vertical position, of the keyframe is independent on all three axes. By right-clicking on this keyframe and going to Properties, we bring up the keyframe properties again, and we have the same information as before. And if you'll also notice in the status bar now also gives us the value of our position of our mouse pointer. Let's set this curve to a sharp setting. Now the sharpness of the curve is not independent for each axis. By playing this back, we notice we have a more defined point or corner point in our animation, in our movement. Let's bring our value down to approximately that of our end keyframe for Y, and do the same for X. Let's right-click and hit New, which is insert a new keyframe. We will adjust its value to be similar to that of the previous keyframe, and then also hit the sharp corner. What we're creating here is a buffer area between the X movement and the Y-axis movement, an area in which no movement takes place at all. We'll notice that the slope is where we want. We notice also that the new keyframe also shows up in the standard track pane, and it can be manipulated here. Let's move this out now to a couple of more frames. Go back in and look, and we will see that it's also updated in the function curve editor. How does this affect our animation? We'll notice there is a pause in the corner now, where no X or Y movement is generated.